Please remain standing. For the invocation to be offered by former president of Washington College, Bair Tipson. Dr. Tipson is currently teaching religion at Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. Then remain standing for the national anthem to be sung by Wakapella.
The inauguration of Shelia Bair puts me in mind of another strong and capable leader, one also faced with formidable challenges, Queen Elizabeth I of England. So I will use as our invocation some passages from a prayer for the support of that ruler, written 200 years before the foundation of this college. I trust you to recognize their application to this occasion. Save thy servant Elizabeth, our queen, the supplicant prays to God. Grant her wisdom to rule this mighty people, long life and quietness round about her. Detect all the traitorous practices of her enemies, devised against her and thy truth, that wicked men may hang their heads and all thy children be comforted. Strengthen her hand and give her a swift foot to hunt out all the bulls of Bashan and the devouring beasts that make havoc of thy flock. And because this work is of great importance, assist her with all necessary helps, both in giving her wise and faithful counselors, as also in ministering to her such inferior officers as may sincerely, uprightly, and faithfully do their duties, seeking the commonwealth and quiet of this realm, that we may long enjoy thy truth with her and all other thy good blessings that in so great mercy thou hast bestowed upon us. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Outstanding. Please be seated. My name is Larry Culp. I'm the chair of the Board of Visitors and Governors at Washington College. And on behalf of my colleagues on the board, we'd like to welcome you to this most important day for this most important college. We're very pleased to have such a large group with us today, and particularly happy that we have two former First Ladies of Washington College, Catherine Trout and Debbie Toll, here with us today. Ladies, thank you for coming. good to have Dr. Tipson back in Chestertown. Baird, thank you for joining us. President Mitchell Reese could not be with us today, but he sends his regrets and his best wishes. We also have with us both Jay and Tony Griswold. Jay served but 1 year as interim president, but it was a truly remarkable year, and we're grateful for his additional service to the college. We sit here today beneficiaries of all the work that has gone past by our presidents who are represented here today and their predecessors. They've laid a very strong foundation for the college that we call home, a foundation that Shelia Bair will build on for many years to come. We're also pleased to have two of our honorary degree recipients with us today, United States Senator Barbara Mikulski and Maryland Senate President Mike Miller. It's good to have a couple additional alums up on the stage this morning. I said Washington College is important because it's a place where the individual still matters, where personalized attention in the classroom and beyond is the rule here rather than the exception. It's where students can develop to their fullest potential and become happy, successful, and responsible members of our society. All of us here serve in the shadow of George Washington, and we hope that our work in that shadow is work that would make him proud. I think if you've been on campus the last couple of days, you know that the momentum here is both palpable and accelerating. But we do remain shy of our full potential. So nearly a year ago, we set out to find an extraordinary leader fit for this college at this time. We asked Chestertown native and vice chair of the Board of Visitors and Governors, Richard Creighton, to lead that effort. Richard and his team did a marvelous job, and I'd like to thank Richard for his work here today. In Shelia Bair, we believe we found someone to build on our institutional strengths, to honor those historic ties to George Washington, our commitment to the liberal arts, and our distinctive setting here on the Eastern Shore on the banks of the Chester River. Sheila is a woman that I came quickly to both admire and respect for her intellect, her integrity, and her experience born of service to the nation at some of its most recent trying times. Many out there would suggest that small liberal arts colleges, like Washington College, have far more challenges than opportunities. Of course, we know they're wrong. But we're confident that Sheila's energetic and visionary leadership will meet both opportunities and challenges head on. And if you haven't met her yet, and you soon will, she's good people too. Sheila's been in the job for about 55 days, but she's already striking, I think, just the right chord with all of Washington College's constituencies. She's demonstrating an awareness and an appreciation for what makes us unique, and a commitment to be responsive to the institution's needs and our potential. I think, as Sheila puts it in her own words, her hope is that we will be as great as we can be, and that we'll burnish the reputation that we have nationally and globally for what we do best, teaching young people to live lives of purpose, instilling in our students a true love for learning, and building the intellectual habits and the moral character of tomorrow's leaders. President Bair recognizes that the time has come to reaffirm the greatness of the first college founded in the new nation, and to work together to meet the demands of our new age. We're particularly pleased to welcome Sheila's husband, Scott Cooper, their son, Preston, who's representing Swarthmore today, and their daughter Colleen to the family. Scott, Press, and Colleen, welcome. They're good people too. So on behalf of the Board of Visitors and Governors of Washington College, I'm happy to pledge our support, and I hope we have yours for the work that lies ahead. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Provost and Dean of the college, Emily Chamley-Wright. Provost Chamley-Wright will introduce each of our distinguished speakers. Emily?
Thank you, Chairman Culp. It is so, so wonderful to see the faculty, the staff, the students, the members of the Board of Visitors and Governors, members of the Chestertown community, alumni, to being here today. I particularly want to say thank you to the delegates who are representing our peer institutions who link arms with us in the pursuit of a liberal education for America's youth. I am deeply grateful for the journey that each of you has taken to come here to represent your institutions. It's a wonderful tradition that institutions like ours have to honor an incoming president. So thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome and introduce the distinguished speakers from the campus community and beyond who came today to offer their greetings. First, we are honored to have with us the Honorable Chris M. Serino. Mayor Serino is a 23-year resident of Kent County. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Virginia. Professionally, he is the vice president of the Sultana Educational Foundation, and he has served as mayor of Chestertown since 2014. The Honorable Chris Serino.
Thank you very much. It's certainly an honor and a privilege to be at such an important event for this great institution. And you always kind of hear, you know, the college is one of our biggest employers, but until you see people streaming out of a building for what seemed like 3 hours, you never really put that to paper. So that was kind of even more of an eye-opener for me. So I want to greet and welcome all of you. I don't have a ton of time, so what I thought I would do is briefly tell the story of this great community by isolating on 4 specific dates. The first date that I would pick if I was to tell the history of Chestertown would be 1706. It was in that year that by a decree of Parliament, Chestertown became one of 6 original royal ports of entry on the Chesapeake Bay. The purpose of the legislation was to encourage settlers to establish communities, and that experiment was certainly successful here in Chestertown, where merchants, particularly in the latter half of the 18th century, shipped products like wheat, tobacco, and corn to distant ports, earning great fortunes with the merchandise that they would sell here in return. And those brick mansions are still evident today on our waterfront, and some of those buildings, like the Custom House and the Ringgold House, today serve as an important piece of the college's infrastructure. 16 years later, borrowing language from the great Abe Lincoln, Washington College was established with help from the gentleman looming above us all, General and President George Washington, who helped with the establishment of this fine college by lending financial resources and his name, which has turned out to be a very important piece of the puzzle. Fast forward some 200 years to November 3rd, 2013, when against great odds I was elected as the first male ever to serve as mayor of Chestertown in the 21st century. I've been beating down stereotypes ever since about what men can do in local government. Who would know that not 2 years later, on September 26, 2015, we would be poised to inaugurate the first female president of Washington College, Ms. Shelia Bair. From 1782 to this date, The fate and fortunes of both the town and the college have been inextricably linked, and I would argue that today that is more true than ever before. And President Bair, you are coming to our great community at one of the most exciting times that I can remember. Just on the Chestertown front, just in the past 2 years, we have made improvements to Fountain Park, completely redone our website, paved out a portion of the rail trail, built a solar array to power our municipal facilities, raised money to fix the recreational amenities at the middle school. And I'm not just doing this to tout my own, candidacy here. We've also had a lot of ribbon cuttings in the private sector. Just yesterday, I was cutting a ribbon at the Tractor Supply Company. We've had openings at Acme, Redner's, the hospital's emergency room, Tracy's Smoothie Place, 7-Eleven, the Chestertown Wine and Cheese Company. I could go on. And of course, at Washington College, you need only look down the street in either direction to see that big changes are happening here as well. Here on Washington Avenue, where an old building was becoming a blight on the landscape, we now have a state-of-the-art academic center rising from the ground. And just to the north, I was going to say behind me, I thought I was going to be on that side of the tent. But just over that way, a new dormitory is being built. And this doesn't even touch upon possible future initiatives like the college's ambitions on the waterfront, the town's ambitions at Chestertown Marina, and a potential transformative development on Stepney Manor. So, President Bair, I look forward in the coming months, weeks, and years to further strengthening the collaborative, mutually beneficial relationship between the town and the college. If there's anything I or the council can do to be of assistance to this great college, please let us know. Godspeed, and we'll see you guys around Chestertown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Serino. The Honorable Mike Miller is President of the Maryland Senate, a position he has held for 28 years, making him the longest-serving state Senate president in the country. Mr. Miller is a graduate of the University of Maryland and the University of Maryland School of Law. He has been a great and true friend to Washington College over these many years. The Honorable Mike Miller.
Thank you very much. Listen, I am a friend of Washington College, and as I walked across the campus this morning, I felt the spirit of Louis Goldstein. I felt the spirit of John Toll, looking down above saying, all is well here at Washington College. All is well, I want to thank my good friend Jay Griswold for being chair of the Board of Visitors for so long and hosting the largest fundraising campaign that ever existed at Washington College. And also, when the time came to find an interim president, he didn't want it, he didn't seek it. Tony said no, everybody else said, you got to do it. He did it, he stepped up, and for a year he kept this college on a straight and narrow course, okay? Jay Griswold, thank you very much. And finally, to the search committee. I've been involved in some search committees before for finding bright and talented people. It's not hard finding people more bright and talented than myself, so they put me on the committee, you know what I mean? But look, for College Park, we had to go all over the United States looking. We found a fellow in Iowa, great guy, Wallace Lowe, from China, Peru, speaks 5 languages, College Park, okay? Hopkins. The United States wasn't big enough to find someone for Hopkins, so we looked all over the United States and went to Canada. A professor, the dean of the law school in Canada, came back, and I picked up my New York Times yesterday to find a picture of the Pope. Maybe my twin daughters who were there. There's a picture of Ron Daniels, the president of Hopkins, getting the Carnegie Award, $500,000 going back to Baltimore and the citizens of Baltimore. So what I want to do is thank the search committee for coming up with this young lady, the lady that they say was the second most powerful person in the world other than Angela Merkel of Germany. 2 years in a row, Forbes magazine says that about this lady. She's gone through the wiles of the financial markets in New York and London, the New York Stock Exchange. She's avoided the snares of the political wars of Washington, D.C. So if she's done that, she can certainly handle the finances of Washington College. She can certainly handle this mayor and the town council of Chestertown. Okay, whether she's a man or a woman, she can kick his butt anytime she wants to. So it's my pleasure to be here to represent the state of Maryland, saying this college is the jewel and the crown of higher education for the state. We're there anytime you need us. President Bair, we're for Washington College. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Miller. The Honorable Barbara A. Mikulski. In 1986, she became the first female Democratic senator elected in her own right and has since become the longest-serving woman in the history of the United States Congress. Senator Mikulski has been a powerful and effective voice for Maryland and an inspiration to countless other women in top leadership roles. She received an honorary degree from Washington College in 1993, the Honorable Barbara Mikulski.
Good morning, everybody. I bring greetings from the entire Maryland delegation to celebrate this wonderful inauguration of President Bair. The delegation wants to extend to her and to her family a very warm welcome. We can't wait to register you to vote in Maryland. I will be back in a few days to follow through on that responsibility. And as you can imagine, I'm particularly excited about a woman being inaugurated president. I hope it's a national trend, started right here at this school. And President Bair, we feel that anybody that could survive a Senate confirmation process to be chosen to be the head of the FDIC could certainly survive the selection committee of this very great college. When I called to congratulate President Bair on being chosen, we had a bunch of laughs about how she had to survive Senate confirmation, deal with the financial global crisis, then followed on by Larry Summers and Peter Orszag, which we both of us had arm twisted and arm wrestled with those guys, and then had a few laughs about Dodd-Frank. So you can see what lies ahead for this school about the very interesting and exciting conversations. But seriously, President Bair, we welcome you. We welcome your husband, Scott, and Preston and Colleen. We're so glad to see you. We in the Maryland delegation are really proud of this school. We are so proud of the fact that this is one of the oldest liberal arts schools in the United States of America. But not only is it among the oldest, it's among the best. The outstanding number of graduates they've had and its reputation for the kind of leaders and scholars that it graduates. The number of 1,400 students here belies their impact on both this community, our state, and even nationally and globally. Known for its outstanding academic achievement and intellectual rigor, citizenship, stewardship, the wonderful teaching in history, literature, science, and of course the environment. And while, again, producing great students and personalized education with an outstanding faculty, to also open it up so that there's no gap between town and gown, and to welcome this new wonderful middle school program here, to be able to tutor the students, to have a community garden. We love this school because in this school, really, 1,000 ideas and 1,000 flowers in bloom here today. So, and I like this school so much and feel very close to it, not only because you honored me with an honorary doctorate in 1993, I worked hands-on with Dr. Trout and Dr. Toll to come up with federal funds to contribute to the Toll Science Center. We were able to come up with $1.2 million, which I guess by today's dollars doesn't entitle me to a building, but more like a petri dish. But we want you, President Bair, to feel the delegation is on your side. We know that one of your big areas of concern is college affordability. College affordability for our students, where their biggest debt is their student debt, often shackling them with debt responsibilities that prevent them from starting a family or starting a business or even inhibiting the kind of career choices we make. We also know that liberal arts colleges of this size, small in size but great in impact, are also facing their own challenges. I'm part of a bipartisan effort in the Congress of the United States, working with Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee on the Education Committee to rewrite the Higher Education Act. Knowing your incredible knowledge in terms of finances, consumer protection, advocacy for the little guy and the little gal, I want to invite you personally to participate in being an advisor to me to make sure that the liberal arts schools in Maryland and the liberal arts schools in this country we come up with the right ideas that create opportunity and not create additional financial burden. So join with me, join with the delegation so that we can make a change that makes a difference in the lives of these schools. And I extend that invitation to you today. We have such confidence in you. You come with an incredible background, a daughter of Kansas. You've already know what two good senators are, and Bob Dole and Nancy Kassebaum, my both dear friends, and then your whole work in the issue of financial regulatory policy. We know that you were one of a team that saved America just a few years ago when we were facing the global financial crisis. As your role in the FDIC, you made sure that our bank stayed solvent, that the full faith of credit to depositors was maintained. You took over an agency with enormous responsibility and low morale, and by the time you left, our banking system, you were part of ensuring that our banking system was not only secure, but the envy of the world, and a morale that had gone from 0% to 80%. You are a reformer. You are a leader. And we know then, as in here, you have a framework for the future. We in the delegation want to be part of the future you envision for this great institution. We thank you for assuming this responsibility, and we thank the selection committee and the Board of Trustees for picking such a great leader. God bless you, President Bair, and God bless America, the country we hold dear.
Thank you, Senator Mikulski. It is now my honor to introduce Taylor Fry, class of 2017. Taylor is the president of the Student Government Association at Washington College. Taylor is from Trumansburg, New York. He is majoring in political science and American studies. President Fry.
It's really hard to follow a senator with such an amazing and inspirational career. Thank you so much for being here today with us. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Isn't it great to be able to say the words, Madam President, here at Washington College? It's an exceptional time to be here in Chestertown, as Chris talked about earlier. New buildings are rising across our campus. Our student body is becoming more diverse year after year, more accomplished year after year, and our students were ranked among the happiest in the nation. We face many challenges, but President Bair, we are poised for success even in an unprecedented background of radical financial, technological, and demographic change in the marketplace. The business of higher education is shifting, but we will stay true to our purpose and passion here at Washington College. This very necessity to change is something we faced before. We've been on the Eastern Shore for over 230 years. We can change, we can adapt, and we can transform, all while keeping the traditions and values that make us who we are. Yet nothing happens by accident. We have to challenge ourselves and others to live the values of our institution in all aspects of our lives. We have to take the long view and focus our energy on the things that matter. We must be inclusive and engage with folks we don't agree with. We have to advocate for others when they're not in the room, and we cannot let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'd rather be us. As a college, we are more than airbrush and stock photos. We have exceptional students, a community of faculty and staff like no other. President Bair, you've overcome doubts, realized potential, and set an example for the Washington College community. 232 years have come before us. The further back you look, the further forward you can see. Welcome to Washington College, welcome to Chestertown, welcome to the family, and let's make this year one of the best.
Thank you, President Fry. Narina Burton is the event coordinator for the Center for Career Development at Washington College. Nina has also been appointed secretary for the Staff Council. Nina has earned her bachelor's degree in human development from Washington College in 2006. Bringing greetings from the staff, Miss Nina Burton.
Thank you, Provost. Good morning, President Bair and family, members of the Board of Visitors and Governors, distinguished guests, student, faculty, and staff. I follow such distinguished peoples. My only claim to fame is I have a window in my office. That's it. That's all I got. But my name is Nina Burton, and I am an alumna of Washington College, the Secretary of Staff Council, and a staff member in the Center for Career Development. And I am privileged to extend the greetings to President Bair and her family on behalf of the staff of Washington College. Last night I had much longer remarks and hopefully humorous advice for President Bair, but we also had a lot more wine in front of us, so they were much funnier then. And during my remarks, I offered her advice about how to become part of the college family, our Chestertown family, and our Eastern Shore community. And as a gift from the staff, I presented her with an album of gift certificates. The gift certificates were to all of our local eateries and wineries. It is our hope that she use these gift certificates to frequent our fine establishments with her family and become even more an integral part of our community. These gift certificates will also hopefully grow her appreciation of deer meat, 16-mile beer, and Krabby mac and cheese. I instructed her that if she didn't like these now, she had no choice but to grow to like them. So please enjoy these to the fullest, President Bair. I know one of President Bair's initiatives is to increase the affordability of college and to reduce student debt. I'm sure all of us can agree if anyone's had to pay for college, we applaud her efforts in this initiative. But meals and textbooks aside, I also extend a challenge. How do you put a price on the unique experiences that a student receives as part of the Washington College family? The late-night pizza in a lounge, the discourse with a professor in the hallway, or the shared enthusiasm in Kane Gym after a basketball win, they're all priceless. Students aren't the only one who become part of our family. The faculty and staff, new and old, share priceless moments. Serving midnight breakfast in the dining hall, kissing a pig at Spring Fling, Professor Crockmull, and watching with pride as the students we have known for 4 years walk across the stage one last time. But President Bair, we welcome you to Chestertown and to our Washington College family, and please know that your staff is here to support you, work with you, and help you create even more precious moments. Some of us have watched several presidents come and go, while for many, you will be the first leader of a higher education institution. Regardless, we look to you for leadership, for guidance, and as an example of our often touted moral courage. President Washington, one of our college's first-grade advisors, wrote in his Rules of Civility that when you meet with one of greater quality than yourself, stop and retire, especially if it be at a door or any straight place to give way for him to pass. I can't guarantee that we will flatten against the wall as you pass by, but we will try to pave the way for you to do great things here. President Bair, on behalf of the staff of Washington College, welcome to our family and welcome to our incredible College on the Chester.
Thank you, Ms. Burton. Mr. Timothy Tawney, class of 1998, is the chair-elect of the Washington College Alumni Board. Tim is a Senior International Program Specialist in the Office of International and Interagency Relations at NASA, headquarters in Washington, D.C. He currently serves as the Space Science Team Lead and is responsible for NASA's international Mars cooperation and science activities in Europe. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Timothy Tawney.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Washington College. Thank you, Emily. As Emily said, my name is Tim Tawney. I am a class of 1998 graduate and the chair-elect of the Alumni Board. It is my pleasure to bring greetings today on behalf of the Alumni Association and to all who are gathered here today to inaugurate and celebrate our 28th president. Most especially, I am thrilled to give a warm welcome to Shelia Bair and her family on behalf of 10,000 alumni around the world, and many who are here today. The current chair of the Alumni Board, Heather Culp, was disappointed she couldn't be here this morning, but I know she was grateful to be part of the special events earlier this week. For my part, I am disappointed I could not be here before this morning, but I was pulled away on work-related travel this past week. Ironically, I ran into a fellow 1998 graduate as we boarded a plane to the Netherlands earlier this week. And despite it having been 17 years since graduation, we were able to quickly regale our traveling companions with the virtues of Washington College. This encounter illustrates that regardless of the number of years we may be removed from graduation, as alumni, we continue to feel a bond to each other and to the college itself, and it is because of that bond that I'm delighted to be here representing alumni on this pivotal occasion. As we've heard recently from the Princeton Review, and hopefully all of you here today can corroborate this, Washington College students are happy. Even though they didn't ask us, we want you to know the alumni are happy too. Because of my Washington College education, I now literally work on projects at NASA that are out of this world. And my story is just one of so many I know alumni are eager to share with you, President Bair, as well as with the students and friends of Washington College. I would add, however, that we alums are just a bit jealous of all the great programs, services, activities, and amenities that have developed here in the recent years and the years since many of us have left Chestertown. It is also the many new initiatives yet to come that we are a bit jealous. Jealousy aside, though, we're excited you're here to promote and embody the mission of the college as well as that of the Alumni Board. We aim to provide meaningful engagement as well as channels of communication between the college and its graduates, and to advocate for our alma mater with integrity, determination, and moral courage. With you as our leader, champion, there is no doubting our bright future. Congratulations on your installation as president. On behalf of the Alumni Board and the Alumni Association, we pledge our continued support to you, to our students, and to this historic institution. Our support, whether with our time, our praise for our alma mater, or occasionally even our money, will demonstrate our resolve to work together to constantly improve this great college. Welcome, President Bair, to the Washington College family, and thank you to everyone here today.
Thank you, Mr. Tawney. Speaking on behalf of the Washington College faculty, Dr. Carol Wilson, Professor of History. I am very honored to introduce her. She received her master's degree from the University of Akron and her doctorate from West Virginia University. Professor Wilson is known nationally and internationally as a specialist in antebellum African American history. Dr. Carol Wilson.
Thank you. Emily forgot to mention that I'm also the third most powerful woman in the world. Just ask my students. Okay, but now I'll get serious because I'm not just up here for myself, I'm representing my colleagues on the faculty, and they are a very serious bunch. So greetings to all of you, and thank you for being here on this historic occasion. It's my honor to welcome our new president on behalf of the faculty of Washington College. Women were first admitted to Washington College in 1891. May Matthews of Chestertown was one of this first class. 4 years later, she became the first woman graduate of the college. The first female faculty member arrived 2 years later. Miss Bertha Stiles taught English, mathematics, and German. She was also the first house mother when Normal, later Reed Hall, opened in 1897. The Normal, or teacher training program, existed only until 1911, when administrators feared its popularity was overwhelming the liberal arts curriculum and disbanded it. In late 19th century America, higher education for women was controversial. Some feared becoming too educated would masculinize women, make them unappealing to men, unable to attract a husband, even render them physically incapable of bearing children. At the very least, higher education was unnecessary for women to fulfill their destiny as wives, mothers, and homemakers. But women were starting to enter colleges in greater and greater numbers anyway. Perhaps, like Molly Dewson, a Wellesley graduate in 1897, they simply, quote, ached to know more. By the turn of the century, 85,000 women were enrolled in American colleges and universities, comprising about 37% of the student population. A lot has happened in the intervening 120 years since May Matthews arrived on campus. And as an historian, I found myself wondering, what would May Matthews and her peers make of the Washington College of 2015? Would our first woman graduate even recognize her alma mater? In some ways, probably not. We have many more female students, about 60% of our current student body. We have many more students in general, nearly 1,500 total. In the 1890s, there were about 100 students. We have students, faculty, and staff of different ethnic, racial, religious, and class backgrounds. In the 1890s, it was mostly white men of the elite who attended college in the United States. Our technology is certainly different. Everyone works on a computer. People communicate over email. Students and colleagues alike are often bent over their cell phones, even when walking around campus. Telephones were only starting to come into common use in the 1890s, and then mainly by businesses. The college has added some new buildings and grown geographically, but not all that much. Smith Hall might be a familiar sight, as would the Hill dorms, but I think Ms. Matthews would be baffled by all the new signage. As many of us are. But the core of what we do, the essence, teaching, helping students to learn, not just specific content or skills in certain fields, but how to listen and read and synthesize ideas, to articulate an argument in writing and in speech, how to think critically, and more broadly, how to be a good citizen, neighbor, steward of the environment, eventually a parent perhaps, a leader of some sort. That has not changed. What has always made Washington College special? The bonds between teacher and student forged over senior capstone conversations, between students debating issues in classes, arguing over common readings, getting help with a paper at the writing center, working through an equation on a black or whiteboard at the library, or an experiment in a laboratory, tackling a piece of music in an ensemble. That has not changed. Getting students to look up from their phones and their tablets and work together with their professors and with each other to understand the world in which we live and understand the views and ideas of people who might not always look like them or sound like them or think like them. This is what we do. Inspiring students to challenge themselves both here and out in the wider world when they leave us, this is what we do. And this is the community into which my colleagues and I welcome our new president, Shelia Bair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Wilson. This is indeed what we do. To deliver greetings from the academic and historical community, we are fortunate to have with us today a leading scholar of American history, an author whose award-winning biographies have helped us understand both the story and the character of our nation. In addition to his Pulitzer for Founding Brothers, Joseph Ellis has won the National Book Award for American Sphinx, his biography of Thomas Jefferson. Closest to our hearts, his in-depth chronicle of the life of our patron, His Excellency George Washington, was a New York Times bestseller. His ninth and latest book, The Quartet Orchestrating the Second American Revolution, 1783 to 1789, chronicles the country's transition from a shaky confederation of states to a strong and unified nation. Dr. Ellis is Professor Emeritus at Mount Holyoke. He holds an undergraduate degree from William & Mary, as well as a master's and doctoral degree from Yale University. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Joseph Ellis.
Thank you for that gracious introduction. Believe it or not, I'm actually here on this glorious occasion at Washington College, coming straight from the spiritual source of its founding at Mount Vernon. I gave a lecture there yesterday on young Washington and slept on the premises, not in Washington's bed. And I'm not making this up. The foundingest father of them all spoke to me in my dreams. My commitment to speak at this podium was very much on my mind, I think, so I presume my dreams were driven by an anxious urge not to disappoint Shelia Bair, who is a friend, and by my sense of inadequacy as a mere historian without intimate knowledge either of the local scene or, more platonically, direct linkage to the divine. So I was poised to be receptive when the spirit of Washington appeared to me, or to my unconscious mind. I mean, what an incredible piece of luck. Instead of having to listen to me prattle on with my elegiac incantations on the obvious, you get to hear the Mount Vernon muse speak directly to you from across the ages. And best of all, his very first words of wisdom, and I quote, "Be blissfully brief." First, and this is obviously straight for you, Sheila, he offers his services if and when the college crisis comes your way. As he put it, his initial contribution of 50 guineas is now worth, as he calculates it, close to $1 million. I don't think it's really worth that much. So he has an investment to protect. Be sure he doesn't want to be bothered with minor matters, but if his counsel in a real crunch would be helpful, here are his instructions. Go to Mount Vernon in the early evening after the public has left the premises. Your stature as president of this institution gives you access. Go to the east side of the mansion facing the Potomac and begin to deliberate as you pace back and forth on the piazza. He will appear to you there, along with his manservant, Billy Lee. There will be no charge. Second, and this was obviously aimed at the trustees, he wants you, as he said, be true to your origins. Well, what does he mean? In fact, Washington was uncharacteristically, shall we say, unburdened, quite colorful in talking about his convictions concerning the crucial role of the liberal arts college in today's world. Its unique status as an original American invention, and it really is. And this is the first one. It's really true. and the misguided efforts currently abroad in the land to alter its semi-sacred mission. The general, as he prefers to be called, minced no words, and I quote him here: "We are not a bank, we are not a public relations agency, we are not a rehabilitation, and we are not a community college. Our goal is not and never shall be to prepare students for a job with marketable skills. We exist to provide the conditions for them to discover their own calling in life and to require that calling to contain a civic side that lashes their personal energies to causes larger than themselves. The mere utterance of the word pre-professional should be prohibited on campus. Discretion in internship programs, great. Pre-professional courses, not great. Discretion prohibits me from repeating his language on this final point, but the gist was that any member of the trustees who, for whatever reason, did not share this vision should offer President Blair his or her resignation upon conclusion of these ceremonies. Third and finally, and this was directed at no one in particular, he was of two minds about the proximity of the college that bears his name to the city that bears his name. On the one hand, it is a blessing, since it provides an excellent escape route for full-blooded young men and women, a convenient location for off-campus enrichment opportunities and internship programs. On the other hand, it is a curse, a plutocratic bubble filled with toxic fumes, a jungle inhabited by lecherous lobbyists and broken souls. Its proximity should be exploited, but at a distance. The college must remain forever a haven free from its contaminations. And so there you have it, unfiltered access to Washington's wisdom for Washington College. He did have a few things more to say about his relationship with Washington. He's really thrilled that about Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton. He's really thrilled that Hamilton has this new Broadway play about him. He wanted all at this gathering to know that he was equivalently pleased to see that at long last his college would be led by a woman, most especially a woman with Hamiltonian flair for reading budgets and understanding markets. There is one important difference, and as I reminded Washington of this, Hamilton has his statue in front of Wall Street. Sheila wants her monument located on Main Street. Washington nodded in agreement as he levitated up and out of my dream, giving what looked to me like the thumbs up sign, and then he was gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Chamberlain Wright, and special thanks to all of our greeters who have traveled long and far to be with us today to offer their greetings and to make today a very special day in the history of Washington College. The Washington College Chorus, directed by Ernest Green, will present now a choral fanfare.
When that period shall arrive, when we can hail the blessed return of peace, it will add to my pleasures to see this infant
It is now time for us to administer the oath of office to President Bair. Sheila, would you please join me? Sheila, will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me?
All right.
I, Sheila C. Bair, solemnly swear
I, Sheila C. Bair, solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Maryland,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Maryland,
that I will be true and loyal to the interests of Washington College,
that I will be true and loyal to the interest of Washington College,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully discharge the duties of the President thereof.
diligently and faithfully discharge the duties of the President thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I'd like to ask former interim President Jay Griswold to assist with the investiture.
Queen Elizabeth. It gives me great pleasure to now present you the officially installed 28th President of Washington College, Sheila C. Bair.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful academic tradition to formally inaugurate new college presidents. It's really quite a production. And I'm really honored that we actually have more than 100 institutions who have sent representatives to be present at my swearing in. And that also I have the privilege of sharing this stage with such wonderful luminaries like Senator Barbara Mikulski, Maryland State Senate President Mike Miller, and my good friend Joe Ellis, and obviously muse of George Washington. My husband, Scott Cooper, is here with me today, Colleen, my daughter, and Preston, my son, who's representing Swarthmere. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. And I'm also particularly pleased that my friend and former colleague, Sarah Raskin, thank you, Sarah, for being here, a native of Maryland and currently the Deputy Secretary of the United States Treasury, has joined us as well. To all who have come, current and former members of our board, past presidents and first ladies, students, current and former faculty, parents, alums, my invaluable staff who have worked so hard on today's event, and local residents, I say thank you and welcome. Your very presence here underscores the depth and breadth of the Washington College community. Last June, when the college announced my pending appointment to be its next president, a lot of my friends and colleagues asked, why Washington College? They knew I had worked at the New York Stock Exchange during the aftermath of the 1987 market crash, that I was Assistant Secretary of the Treasury when we endured the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and of course that I had a central role in responding to the 2008 financial crisis when I was chair of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So after so much excitement, they were surprised that I would opt for the bucolic environs of a small liberal arts college in rural Maryland. But they didn't know what I knew about this special 233-year-old institution. They didn't know about its rich history as the first college to receive a government charter after the birth of our new nation, its unique status as the school George Washington himself authorized to bear his impeccable name, its excellence in so many academic disciplines, including its nationally recognized centers for the study of American history, literature, and the environment, its beautiful location nestled in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, and most importantly, they didn't know about the supportive, intimate educational experience Washington College has provided students for over 2 centuries, one designed to open minds, not capture them. A school which positions its graduate to be nimble and adaptive to ever-changing economic, social, and political circumstances, because they have been exposed to multiple disciplines and perspectives from people who may see the world differently from themselves. Any of these reasons makes a compelling answer to the question, why Washington College? But perhaps the biggest factor in my decision to say yes was the opportunity it provided me to give back in this, the likely final chapter of my career. I'm a Midwesterner, and like most, you can see my Jayhawk colors here, like most from America's heartland, I can be brutally blunt. So let me say this. I'm not proud of the leadership my generation, the baby boomer generation, has demonstrated over the past few decades. We have enjoyed the most influential positions in government and business, and to be sure, our reign of influence has been marked by many positive developments, particularly in the area of technological innovation. But we have not been good stewards of the economy and our financial system. We have a propensity for short-term thinking, for borrowing from the future, to pay for the needs of today. This has manifested itself in chronic deficits, unsustainable entitlement spending, and an excessive reliance on cheap credit instead of real wage growth to fuel economic expansion. And perhaps most tragically, because of the growing complexity of the global economy, we are handing our young people a labor market which requires a college degree to navigate, yet too many of us have failed to exhibit sufficient farsightedness to save enough money to pay for our kids' education, even when we have had the financial wherewithal to do so. So students have borrowed. Yes, they have borrowed to the tune of $1.3 trillion and growing. Student debt is now the second largest category of debt. Only home mortgages are greater. A total of 40 million Americans carry at least one student loan, an increase of 11 million since the financial crisis. This explosion of student debt holds disturbing parallels to the subprime mortgage craze, which led to the 2008 financial cataclysm. Both are fueled by well-intentioned but poorly thought out government policies to promote laudable social goals. Both have perversely led to an increase in the cost of attaining those goals. Both reflect a proliferation of loans to many borrowers who have little chance of repaying them, and both promise to be a drag on the economy for years to come. I doubt that the student loan debacle will lead to another financial crisis. The dollar amounts are not nearly as large as were subprime mortgages. And since 93% of student loans are backed by the federal government, the cost of defaults will be on taxpayers, not banks. But make no mistake, the trail we are on does lead to tears. The average student debt load for college graduates is about $29,000, representing a monthly payment of around $300 on a 10-year amortizing loan, which is quite a chunk for the average college graduate whose take-home pay is around $2,500 a month. And of course, many students, particularly those with parents who cannot help them, have significantly higher debt loads. A recent Pew study indicates that 77% of student borrowers are from lower income families. High student debt levels impose a personal financial hardship on graduates entering the working world, but they also, as Senator Mikulski indicated, they hurt the broader economy. Numerous studies have indicated that young people put off other financial activity, such as buying a house, a car, or starting a business, until they pay off their loans. Just as subprime loans hurt our economy as cash-strapped borrowers struggle to pay their mortgages at the expense of other consumer spending, so do high student debt loads promise the same negative impact on economic growth. Some say that $29,000 of debt is not a bad investment for a college degree, which will produce a 15% return in higher income over their lives. I would agree that given the alternatives of no college education or $29,000 of debt, the latter is the better choice. But wouldn't it be even better to see more kids graduating with no debt or with financial obligations which can be paid off in just a few years? A declining savings culture among parents is far from the only driver of burgeoning student debt loans. Poorly designed federal aid programs, which do little to impose accountability on schools, have led to scandalous abuses for these programs, particularly in the for-profit sector, I would say this administration has instituted some very helpful reforms to address that problem. Poor financial management at some schools, public and private, has also contributed to escalating college costs, though I do believe the problems at the proverbial spa dorms and luxury gyms has been grossly overstated. Finally, state government cutbacks have had an impact, which is why tuition increases have accelerated more quickly at public schools than at private nonprofits. But as I have looked at the issue of affordability, I think all of these are a factor, but really the core problem lies in the uneven nature of this and preceding economic recoveries. Over the past decade, the majority of households have seen real wages decline, even as the need for their kids to go to college has increased. Thus, colleges have been confronted by an increasing demand from students for college degrees, even as their families suffer a declining ability to pay for them. Schools have responded by rapidly raising their tuition sticker price, hoping that they can find enough upper-income families to pay the higher amount so that they can subsidize deeper discounts for lower-income students. But this has been self-defeating. As tuition has gone up, so has the number of families needing help to cover the cost, creating the need for even deeper discounts. As a result, while tuition has increased significantly, the sticker price, revenues net of those discounts have actually declined. I am proud to say that I think Washington College has done a very good job of trying to navigate this very difficult environment. Our tuition increases have generally been smaller than at peer institutions, and our student default rates are among the lowest in the country. Building on this track record, I believe we are well positioned to contribute to the growing national discussion on college affordability. And we will do so with a two-pronged attack, doing everything we can to hold the line on cost while dramatically increasing scholarship funding. We are launching a new initiative, George's Brigade, which will allow inner-city youth to apply with friends and have their applications considered on a group basis, because we know their transition to a small rural school will be smoothed and enhanced if they can share it with one or more friends. And we will aggressively fundraise around this new initiative to make sure the full financial needs of these students can be met. Research shows that the success of low-income, first-generation students in achieving a college degree is heavily reliant on financial help and a supportive social network. George's Brigade is designed to address both. We will also be launching a broader fundraising campaign called Damn the Debt to raise an additional $1 million a year in scholarship funding with the goal of reducing student borrowing by at least 1/3. This program will be available to a broad range of families, as we recognize that even families now considered to be upper income can struggle to cover tuition costs today. Through this new initiative, we hope to erect a dam against the rising wave of student debt and reduce its flow from a torrent to a trickle. Such initiatives are key to the future of small liberal arts colleges like ours. It is essential to preserve the liberal arts college tradition. It differentiates the American higher education system from others and is one of the reasons why that system is the envy of the world. At Washington College, we focus and specialize on the education of undergraduate students. They are our overriding priority. We provide small classes taught by professors, not teaching assistants, experiential learning opportunities, and extensive counseling and support services. And we embrace a broad, diverse range of students. U.S. News and World Report has called Washington College an A+ school for B students, and I like that appellation. We have our own share of straight A students, but not everyone makes straight A's, and not everyone makes a perfect score on their SAT. And for those who do, there are plenty of schools pursuing them with generous aid packages. But there are so many other students who can flourish in college and make their mark on the world if exposed to more intimate and varied educational approaches. They have a lot to offer that is not necessarily reflected in a grade point. To be sure, we provide excellence in the classroom, but we also provide alternative experiences, from semesters immersed in the wilds of the Chesapeake Bay to navigating the teeming urbanity of Hong Kong. And we pay close attention to every one of our students. No one gets lost at Washington College. We provide not only excellence in education, we also provide moral content and grounding for our students, a deep understanding of the society in which they live, and appreciation of the impact their actions have on others. George Washington once said that happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. Perhaps that is why the Princeton Review recently named us as one of the happiest schools in the country. George Washington didn't just give his name and wisdom to our school. As Joe said, he also gave us 50 guineas to help us get started. 50 guineas did constitute real money back then, not quite $1 million, but I'm told it was about 20,000, which is a sizable, certainly a sizable commitment for a public servant back then. Washington understood the importance of philanthropy to higher education, the obligation of society to help make sure that future generations have the tools and skills they need to prosper and contribute to the economy. And ever since his generous gift, patrons and alumni at Washington College have given generously in the tradition that he began. They have been key to our success over the past 2 centuries. I am committed to inspiring and leading that tradition of philanthropy and good citizenship. We will be prudent stewards of our donors' generosity, achieving efficiency without compromising quality, and focusing philanthropy on alleviating student debt will be key priorities of my tenure here. And we will aggressively promote the value of a Washington College degree in the marketplace to ensure that employers actually understand that a liberal arts degree is valuable, and to help our graduates secure good jobs where they can maximize their contributions to our economy while earning the income they need to require as quickly as possible any debt that they accumulate while they are here. All of this, I know, will take time, but at the end of my tenure, I hope my legacy will be one of dramatically increased scholarship funding, dramatically decreased student debt, and the cultivation of new generations of alumni invigorated and committed to their school and eager to give back to an institution that was single-mindedly devoted to their education. But just as I hope to inspire future generations, let me implore members of my own generation to think hard about the kind of society we are passing on to our young people and the many challenges that lie ahead for them. I can think of no better way for us to give back than to help them graduate and enter the world debt-free, a status most of us enjoyed when we graduated from school decades ago. Let's make the final legacy of the baby boomer generation one of generosity and caring for the future of our children and grandchildren. For as George Washington, our original benefactor, once said, if to be venerated for benevolence, if to be admired for talents, if to be esteemed for patriotism, if to be beloved for philanthropy can gratify the human mind, you must have the pleasing consolation to know that you have not lived in vain. Thank you very much.
Washington, oh Washington, our Washington we do adore. We will fight for her honor, as her sons and daughters have before. So Washington, oh Washington, our Washington forevermore. She's our dear alma mater on the old eastern shore.
Let us close with a benediction. In 1979, 2 tiny silver scrolls were discovered in the old city of Jerusalem. They proved to be from the 7th century BC. That's what scholars call the period of the First Temple, Solomon's Temple. And the writing on them is the oldest surviving text we have of the Jewish Bible. It's now in the book of Numbers, and so let us close with the words on those scrolls. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.